The gentle hum of the UES Phoenix's engines filled the bridge as Captain Kate watched the alien delegation leave through the airlock. Something felt off about their visit, but she couldn't quite put her finger on it. The Stellar Confederation representatives had been polite, even friendly, during their 3-day stay aboard humanity's most advanced spaceship, yet their smiles never quite reached their eyes. Tom's voice crackled through the ship's comm system, breaking her chain of thought. "Captain, you need to come down to engineering. Now." The chief engineer's usually calm voice carried an edge of worry that made Kate's stomach twist. "On my way," she replied, already heading for the lift. The ship's corridors, normally bustling with crew members, felt eerily quiet. The soft blue lighting that ran along the walls pulsed steadily, but even that familiar sight did little to ease her growing concern. When the lift doors opened to the engineering deck, Kate immediately knew something was wrong. The air felt thick with tension, and the usual background noise of machinery had an odd, discordant note to it. Tom stood at the main control panel, his weathered face illuminated by the red warning lights flashing across the screens. "Look at this," he said without turning around, his fingers dancing across the display. "These readings started changing right after our guests left. At first, I thought it was just normal fluctuations, but..." He pulled up a diagram of the ship's power grid. Various sections were highlighted in angry red. "They did something to our systems, Captain. The sabotage is subtle, but it's spreading." Kate leaned in closer, her eyes narrowing as she studied the display. "How bad is it?" "Bad." Tom wiped sweat from his forehead. "They somehow introduced a cascading failure into our main systems. The power grid, life support, navigation, they're all showing signs of degradation. We've got maybe 3 days before critical systems start failing completely." The captain's hands clenched into fists. "Can we fix it?" "That's the thing," Tom said, pulling up another screen filled with code that made no sense to Kate. "This isn't just damage. It's like they infected our systems with some kind of technological virus. Every time we try to repair one system, the problem shows up somewhere else." They knew exactly what they were doing. Kate turned to face the large viewport that showed the endless expanse of space. The nearest human outpost was weeks away at their current speed, and even that assumed they could maintain power to the engines. Options. "We're working on it, but..." Tom hesitated. "Captain, I've never seen technology like this. The way it adapts, the way it spreads, it's far beyond anything humans have developed. They must have been planning this for months." The ship's lights flickered, as if emphasizing Tom's point. Kate watched as several crew members rushed past, carrying diagnostic equipment and toolkits. Why? Why would they do this? "Think about it," Tom said, his voice low. "We show up in their space with the Phoenix, the most advanced ship humanity has ever built. We're newcomers to their galactic community, but we're advancing faster than any species they've encountered. Maybe we scared them." A young technician approached them, tablet in hand. "Sir, we're seeing problems in the auxiliary power systems now. Whatever they did, it's spreading faster than we anticipated." Kate felt the weight of command settling heavily on her shoulders. 300 crew members were depending on her to get them out of this mess. "Tom, I want you to put together a team. The best engineers we have. Work in shifts if you have to, but find a way to stop this." "Already on it, Captain." Tom turned to the technician. "Get Mike from Quantum Systems up here. Tell him to bring everything he has on alien tech analysis. If we're going to beat this, we need to understand how it works first." The next 12 hours passed in a blur of activity. Kate moved between the bridge and engineering, watching as her crew fought against an invisible enemy that seemed to be everywhere and nowhere at once. The ship's systems continued to degrade, but slower now that they had identified some of the attack vectors. In engineering, Tom and his team had taken over an entire wall with diagrams and data streams. Mike, the young quantum systems specialist, sat cross-legged on the floor surrounded by tablets and portable computers, his eyes red from staring at screens for hours. The way this thing moves through our systems, Mike said, looking up at Kate as she entered. It's like it's alive. Not actually alive, but it adapts to everything we try. Traditional antivirus measures are useless against it. Show me, Kate said, kneeling beside him. Mike pulled up a visualization of the ship's computer network. Streams of red moved through the system like blood through veins, splitting and recombining in patterns that seemed almost organic. See how it reacts when we try to isolate a section, he demonstrated, and the red streams immediately found new paths around the blockade. It's the most advanced programming I've ever seen. A loud bang echoed through the deck, followed by the screech of tearing metal. Emergency klaxons began blaring as the deck plating beneath them shuddered. Status, Kate shouted into her comm. Primary power coupling just blew. Tom's voice came back, tight with stress. Switching to backups, but we're losing power faster than predicted. We've got maybe 36 hours now, not 3 days. Kate stood, her mind racing. They needed help, but the nearest stellar Confederation world was even further away than the human outpost. Not that they could trust them now anyway. The Sabotaged had made one thing clear. Humanity's so-called allies saw them as a threat to be eliminated. Mike, she said suddenly, you said the programming is the most advanced you've ever seen. What if that's our advantage? The young engineer looked up, confused. What do you mean? They gave us access to their technology. Yes, they're using it against us, but it's still here, in our systems. We can study it, learn from it. Tom joined them, his face streaked with grease. You want to analyze the virus while it's actively trying to destroy our ship. That's risky, Captain. Riskier than doing nothing, Kate asked. They think they've beaten us. They think humans will just give up and die out here. But they don't understand who they're dealing with. Mike's eyes widened as he caught on to what she was suggesting. We could set up isolated systems to study how it works. If we understand the basic principles, we might be able to do more than just stop it, Tom finished, a glimmer of hope appearing in his tired eyes. But we'll need time. Another shudder ran through the ship, and the lights dimmed momentarily. Kate steadied herself against a console. Time is something we don't have much of. But we have the best crew in the fleet, and we have something else the Stellar Confederation didn't count on. What's that? Mike asked. Human stubbornness, Kate said with a grim smile. They think this virus will destroy us? Fine. Let's show them how humans deal with threats. We don't just survive them. We learn from them, adapt them, and come back stronger. Tom nodded slowly, then turned to his team. All right, people, new plan. I want 3 separate research teams set up. We're going to take this thing apart piece by piece. Mike, you're leading the analysis team. Jenny, get any power rerouted through the emergency systems. We need to buy ourselves more time. The rest of you, start preparing isolated testing environments. Let's show our alien friends what happens when they underestimate human ingenuity. As Kate watched her crew spring into action with renewed purpose, she knew the real battle was just beginning. The Stellar Confederation had tried to eliminate a potential rival, but their sabotage was about to backfire spectacularly. Humanity had never been good at accepting defeat, and they were about to learn it the hard way. The Phoenix's engines hummed beneath her feet, struggling against the spreading virus, but still fighting. Like her ship, Kate and her crew would not go quietly into the dark void of space. They would fight, adapt, and overcome. And when they were done, their ship would be more than just repaired. It would be transformed into something the galaxy had never seen before. Mike hadn't slept in 20 hours, but his eyes were wide with excitement as he stared at the holographic display floating above his workstation. The alien code danced before him in complex patterns that were starting to make a strange kind of sense. Next to him, Tom leaned forward, his own exhaustion forgotten as he watched the simulation play out. There, Mike pointed to a particular sequence. See how it responds. It's not just a virus. It's more like a living program. Every time we try to stop it, it learns and adapts. But that's not even the crazy part. He tapped a few commands, and the display shifted to show a deeper layer of code. Look at the base structure. Does this remind you of anything? Tom squinted at the flowing symbols. Wait a minute. That looks almost like the quantum processing theories we were working on back on Earth. The ones everyone said were impossible. Exactly. Mike's voice cracked with excitement. They're not just trying to destroy our ship. They're using technology that proves our theories were right all along. The Stellar Confederation must have figured this out decades ago. The ship shuddered around them, another system failing somewhere in its vast bulk. They had managed to slow the spread of the alien sabotage, but they were still losing the battle. The Phoenix's hull groaned like a wounded animal. Captain Kate's voice came through the comm system, tense but controlled. Engineering, we just lost gravity control on decks 5 through 8. How's that analysis coming? Captain, Mike replied, his fingers flying over the controls. I think you need to come see this. We may have found something big. When Kate arrived a few minutes later, she found her engineering team gathered around Mike's station, their faces lit by the blue glow of the holographic display. The young engineer could barely contain himself as he explained what they'd discovered. The aliens didn't just give us a weapon to destroy ourselves, he said, pulling up diagram after diagram. They accidentally gave us a key to understanding their entire technological base. This virus is built on principles we theorized, but could never prove. Until now. Tom stepped in, his weathered face animated. Think of it like they handed us a dictionary to translate their tech into our language. We're not just learning how to stop the sabotage, we're learning how their most advanced systems work. Kate watched the flowing patterns of light, remembering the smug expressions on the alien delegates' faces as they left the ship. Can we use this? Better than that, Mike said, pulling up a new display. We can improve on it. Look, their quantum processing is amazing, but it's rigid. They follow the rules they discovered centuries ago, but they never thought to question them. We humans, though, we love breaking rules. The next few hours were a blur of activity. Mike and Tom led teams working in sealed labs, studying the alien code and testing theories that would have seemed insane just days ago. They lost auxiliary power to the cargo decks, but nobody complained about carrying supplies up manual ladders. Every crew member knew they were racing against time. Kate split her attention between the bridge and engineering, watching as her crew pushed themselves to their limits and beyond. The ship's doctor made regular rounds with stimulant shots, keeping key personnel awake and focused. They couldn't afford to rest, not when every hour brought them closer to total system failure. The thing is, Mike explained during one of their hurried meetings, his hand shaking slightly from too much caffeine, they designed this program to attack our systems in ways they thought would be unfixable, but they based that on how their technology works. They never considered that we might approach problems differently. Tom nodded, pointing to a section of code displayed on the wall. Human engineering has always been about working with what we have, improvising when we need to. Their tech is more advanced, but it's also more structured. They don't adapt the way we do. So how do we use that? Kate asked, focusing on the practical implications. Mike grinned, looking almost manic with exhaustion and excitement. We let the virus think it's winning, but instead of fighting it directly, we're going to give it a path into systems we've prepared. Systems that look normal, but are actually experimental quantum processors we're building based on their own tech. Like a trap, Kate said slowly, beginning to understand. More like a maze, Tom corrected. Once it's in our test systems, we can study how it works in real time. More importantly, we can learn how to control it. The very thing they're using to destroy us could become the foundation for upgrading the Phoenix beyond anything they imagined possible. A loud alarm blared through the ship, and red warning lights began flashing. Main reactor showing signs of instability, the computer announced in its calm voice. Containment failure possible in 3 hours. We're out of time, Kate said, straightening up. How long do you need to implement this plan? Mike and Tom exchanged looks. The test systems are ready, Mike said. But redirecting the virus, studying it, learning to control it, that could take days. We've got hours at best. Then we'll have to work faster. Kate's voice was firm. I'm not losing this ship, and I'm not letting them win. Whatever resources you need, whatever personnel, they're yours. Just make it happen. The engineering deck became a hive of controlled chaos. Crew members who had never worked together before formed seamless teams, following Mike's theoretical insights and Tom's practical experience. They cannibalized non-essential systems, rebuilding them into quantum processors that barely anyone understood, but everyone hoped would work. As they worked, more systems failed across the ship. Life support was running on backups, and the artificial gravity flickered unpredictably. But with each passing hour, they understood more about the alien technology that was trying to destroy them. It was like reading a book written in a foreign language, difficult at first, but gradually becoming clearer as they recognized patterns and principles. Look at this, Mike called out suddenly, drawing everyone's attention. On his screen, a small section of alien code had been isolated in one of their test systems. As they watched, it attempted to spread and adapt as it had been programmed to do. But this time, something was different. The code hit the boundaries they had created and began to change in ways its creators had never intended. It's working, Tom whispered, leaning in closer. It's actually working. Kate watched the display, not understanding all the technical details but recognizing the hope in her engineers' faces. What exactly am I looking at? Mike's eyes were bright despite his exhaustion. We're not just stopping their virus, Captain. We're learning how to speak its language. And once we can do that... He paused, a slow smile spreading across his face. Well, let's just say the Stellar Confederation is about to learn that they made a very big mistake. The ship groaned around them, systems still failing, but now there was a new energy in the air. They weren't just fighting for survival anymore. They were on the verge of something revolutionary. The aliens had meant to destroy them, but instead, they had handed humanity the keys to technological advancement beyond anything Earth had achieved before. The next step would be the riskiest, implementing their theories across the entire ship. But as Kate looked at her crew's determined faces, she knew they would find a way. The Phoenix was about to rise from its own ashes, transformed by the very weapon meant to destroy it. The main reactor chamber pulsed with an eerie blue light as Tom and his team worked. They had less than an hour before total containment failure, but nobody's hands shook as they installed the newly modified quantum processors. They couldn't afford to make mistakes, not now. Power levels dropping to 30%, the computer announced calmly. Warning lights cast red shadows across tired faces as crew members raced against time. Mike sat cross-legged on the floor, surrounded by tablets showing streams of alien code. He spoke into his comm unit, guiding teams throughout the ship as they prepared for what he called the upgrade of the century. Nobody mentioned that if he was wrong, they would all die in the cold vastness of space. Ready at Junction 4, a voice crackled through the comm. Junction 7 standing by, came another. Tom looked at the reactor's pulsing core, then at his tablet showing an ever-dropping power curve. Mike, if we're going to do this, it has to be now. Captain Kate's voice came through the ship-wide comm. All non-essential personnel, move to the emergency shelters. Engineering teams, stand by for power redistribution. This is not a drill. Mike took a deep breath and nodded to Tom. Initiating quantum transfer in 3, 2, 1. He pressed his hand against the main control panel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the blue light of the reactor flickered and died completely. The ship went dark. In the pitch blackness, someone whispered, "Did it work?" A new light began to grow. Not the familiar blue of the reactor, but a strange, shifting purple that seemed to move with a life of its own. The emergency lights flickered back on, powered by the last of their backup systems. The virus is responding, Mike said, his eyes fixed on his displays. It's following the path we created, moving through the quantum processors exactly like we planned. Tom watched as indicators across his screen began to change. Power levels rising. 10%, 20, 30. The deck plating hummed beneath their feet with a new note, different from anything they'd felt before. Across the ship, systems that had been dead or failing suddenly sparked back to life. 50%, 70. We're past normal operating capacity and still climbing. Kate's voice cut through the excitement. Engineering, what's happening down there? We're getting some strange readings up here. It's working, Captain, Mike said, his voice filled with wonder. The virus isn't just being contained, it's being integrated. We're using its own adaptive properties to enhance our systems. The quantum processors are acting like translators, teaching our technology to speak their language. Through the viewport, crew members could see the strange purple glow beginning to spread through the visible power conduits of the ship. The Phoenix was changing from the inside out. Captain, the ship's AI announced suddenly, its voice somehow different, richer, more alive. I am detecting significant improvements in all major systems. Processing capacity has increased by 400% and rising. Kate stepped onto the engineering deck just in time to see the main display wall transform. Instead of the usual basic readouts, it showed complex three-dimensional representations of the ship's systems that moved and flowed like liquid light. The AI, Mike explained, pointing to the display, it's evolving. The quantum processors we built using their technology, they're not just improving our hardware, they're changing the way our whole ship thinks. Tom was moving from station to station, checking readings with an expression of disbelief. The power grid isn't just repaired, it's reconfiguring itself, becoming more efficient. The virus tried to destroy us by spreading through our systems. Instead, we're using its spread to upgrade everything it touches. Incoming transmission, the AI announced. Stellar Confederation vessel detected at long range. The crew froze. They weren't ready for a confrontation, not in the middle of such massive changes to their systems. But as data continued to flow across their screens, Mike began to smile. Captain, he said, I don't think we need to worry. Take a look at these weapon systems readings. Kate studied the displays, her eyes widening. The Phoenix's defensive capabilities had been impressive before. Now they were off the charts. But more importantly, she could see entirely new systems coming online. Technologies they had never dreamed of installing. The ship's hull, Tom reported, it's restructuring at the molecular level. Some kind of self-repairing metal using principles from their quantum tech. And the engines, he shook his head in amazement. We're going to be able to outrun anything they throw at us. The purple glow had spread throughout the ship now, settling into a steady pulse that matched the rhythm of the new power systems. Crew members emerged from their shelters to find their stations transformed, displays showing capabilities that would have seemed like magic just hours ago. Multiple Confederation vessels now detected, the AI reported. They appear to be on an intercept course. Let them come, Kate said quietly. Tactical, give me a full analysis of our new capabilities. Engineering, I want to know everything this ship can do now. We're not running from them. We're going to show them exactly what happens when you underestimate human ingenuity. As her crew scrambled to understand their transformed ship, Kate walked to the main viewport. The Phoenix had been the pride of Earth's fleet before. Now it was something else entirely, a hybrid of human creativity and alien technology, transformed by the very weapon meant to destroy it. The ship's AI spoke again, its voice now carrying subtle harmonics that made it sound almost musical. Captain, I believe you should see this. I am detecting capabilities in our new systems that even the Confederation has not developed. It seems that by forcing their technology to adapt to our methods, we have created something unique. Mike looked up from his station, his exhaustion forgotten in the excitement of discovery. That's what they never understood about humans, Captain. They gave us a puzzle, thinking we'd try to solve it their way. Instead, we took it apart and built something better. Their mistake, Tom added with a grin, was thinking we'd just give up and die. They didn't realize that humans have been taking things apart and improving them since we first picked up stones as tools. Through the viewport, they could see the first glimpses of the approaching Confederation ships, still hours away at normal speeds. But the Phoenix was no longer bound by normal limits. Its hull gleamed with a subtle purple sheen, power coursing through newly formed quantum circuits that defied conventional physics. Kate smiled as she watched her crew work, already mastering systems that hadn't existed hours ago. The aliens had tried to eliminate a potential rival, but they had only succeeded in pushing humanity to evolve faster than anyone could have predicted. The Phoenix wasn't just repaired, it was reborn. The Stellar Confederation fleet emerged from faster-than-light travel in a dazzling display of light, their ships arranged in an attack formation that might have been intimidating just a day ago. Now, as Captain Kate watched them approach on the Phoenix's enhanced sensors, she felt only a calm certainty. 5 heavy cruisers, 3 destroyer-class vessels, and what appears to be their flagship, the AI reported, its evolved voice carrying subtle tones of curiosity. Their weapon systems are powered up, but their shields show signs of inefficiency that our new sensors can detect. Mike hadn't left his station in engineering for hours, fascinated by the continuing evolution of the ship's systems. "Captain, you need to see this. The quantum processors aren't just running the ship anymore. They're improving themselves. Every minute we're getting stronger." A communication request flashed across the main screen. Kate straightened her uniform and nodded. "Accept transmission." The alien commander appeared on screen. His scaled face, set in what they had learned, was an expression of superiority. "Human vessel Phoenix, your ship is showing unusual energy signatures. Power down your systems immediately and prepare to be boarded. This is your only warning." Kate smiled slightly. "I'm afraid we can't do that, Commander. You see, we've been making some improvements since your last visit. Would you like to see them?" The alien's face shifted to a deeper shade of green. Anger, they had learned. "Your species' arrogance is remarkable. You were meant to be eliminated quietly, avoiding unnecessary conflict. Now you force us to make an example of you." "About that," Kate replied, glancing at her tactical display. "Tom, why don't we show them one of our new tricks?" In engineering, Tom grinned and entered a series of commands. The Phoenix's hull rippled with purple energy, and suddenly the ship split into perfect duplicates. 5 identical vessels surrounding the Confederation fleet. "Impossible," the alien commander sputtered. "This is beyond your technology level." "It was," Kate agreed. "But we've had some help. Your Sabotaged program made an excellent teaching aid, though I don't think we're using it quite the way you intended." The tactical officer's console lit up with warnings. "Multiple targeting locks from the Confederation fleet, Captain. They're preparing to fire." "Defensive systems status?" Kate asked calmly. "The new quantum shields are operating at 400% of our original capacity," the AI reported. "Additionally, I have developed 14 new defensive protocols based on the combined knowledge of human and Confederation technology." The alien commander's face had lost its superior look, replaced by something closer to fear. "Stand down, humans. You don't understand the forces you're playing with." "Actually," Mike's voice came through the comm, "I think we understand them better than you do now. Your technology is impressive, but it's stable, unchanging. You never thought to question it, to push its limits. But that's what humans do best." The first shots from the Confederation fleet lit up space and passed harmlessly through 4 of the Phoenix duplicates. The real ship's quantum shields absorbed the rest of the barrage, the energy rippling across their surface in beautiful patterns. "Return fire?" the tactical officer asked. Kate shook her head. "No, show them something else instead." The Phoenix's hull began to glow brighter, the purple energy coalescing into visible streams that connected all 5 projections of the ship. The AI's voice carried a note of pride as it reported, "Quantum field stabilized." ready to demonstrate new faster-than-light capabilities. In engineering, Mike and Tom watched in amazement as their improvements took on forms they hadn't even imagined. The ship wasn't just using the alien technology, it was reinventing it. The quantum processors, Mike said excitedly, they're not just computing anymore. They're rewriting the laws of physics on a local level. The aliens use this technology to follow rules. We're using it to break them. The Phoenix and its duplicates began to move in perfect synchronization, creating geometric patterns in space that seemed to bend reality itself. Each movement left trails of purple light that formed complex, mathematical structures. On the Confederation ship sensors, alarms were blaring. They had never seen anything like this before. Their own technology, refined over centuries, was being used in ways they had never imagined possible. What you're seeing, Kate told the increasingly agitated alien commander, is what happens when you give humans a puzzle to solve. We don't just find the solution. We rewrite the rules of the game. The Phoenix's duplicates suddenly collapsed back into the original ship, but the purple energy patterns remained, forming a complex web around both fleets. The AI announced, "Captain, I am detecting quantum entanglement effects on a massive scale. We can now predict the Confederation fleet's movements before they make them." The alien commander's transmission crackled with interference as their systems struggled to cope with the Phoenix's transformations. "This is unprecedented. Your ship should have been destroyed by our program." "Here's what you don't understand about humans," Kate said, leaning forward in her chair. "We learn from everything, even from attempts to destroy us. Your sabotage program was complex, yes, but it was rigid, designed to follow specific patterns. We saw those patterns and found ways to change them, to improve them." As if to demonstrate her point, the Phoenix's hull suddenly became translucent, then shifted through various states of matter before returning to its solid form. The quantum processors had given them control over the fundamental properties of their own ship. "Captain," Mike called from engineering, "the AI is showing signs of another evolutionary leap. It's not just running the ship anymore. It's starting to understand the underlying principles of the universe in ways our scientists never dreamed of." The Confederation fleet held their position, weapons still armed but no longer firing. They were witnessing something unprecedented, a ship that had taken their most advanced technology and transformed it into something new, something that defied their understanding of what was possible. "Your ship," the alien commander said slowly, "what have you turned it into?" Kate looked around her bridge, at the displays showing capabilities that seemed more like magic than technology, at her crew working confidently with systems that hadn't existed a day ago. "We've turned it into proof that humanity deserves its place among the stars. You tried to stop our progress, but you only succeeded in accelerating it." The Phoenix's sensors detected power fluctuations in the Confederation fleet, signs of confusion and uncertainty in their ranks. Their perfect formation began to waver as they faced something their centuries of technological development hadn't prepared them for, a species that didn't just use technology, but transformed it. "The question now," Kate said to the alien commander, "is what happens next. We could demonstrate more of our improvements, but I don't think that's necessary, is it?" The commander's scales had paled to a lighter shade of green. He looked off-screen, presumably at his own readings of the Phoenix's capabilities, then back at Kate. When he spoke again, the superiority was gone from his voice, replaced by something that might have been respect or fear. "Perhaps," he said carefully, "we should discuss this situation in more detail." The meeting room aboard the Phoenix hummed with its new energy as Captain Kate sat across from the Stellar Confederation commander. The purple glow from the ship's transformed systems cast strange shadows on the alien's scaled face. Between them, a holographic display showed the incredible changes the ship had undergone in the past day. "Impossible," the commander muttered, watching as the display demonstrated the Phoenix's new capabilities. "Our best scientists spent centuries developing these technologies. How did you manage this in mere hours?" "Because you gave us no choice," Kate replied simply. When humans are backed into a corner, we don't give up. We get creative. Your sabotage program wasn't just a weapon to us. It was a textbook, a challenge, and an opportunity all rolled into one. In engineering, Mike and Tom worked with their teams, still discovering new possibilities in their hybrid systems. The ship's AI had evolved to the point where it could predict their needs before they voiced them, bringing up relevant data and suggesting improvements they hadn't even considered. The quantum processing matrix has achieved another breakthrough. The AI announced, its voice carrying harmonics that seemed to resonate with the ship itself. I am detecting similar possibilities for advancement in the Confederation fleet systems, though they remain dormant due to current programming limitations. The alien commander's eyes widened at this. You can read our ship's systems. We can do more than that, Mike said, joining them in the meeting room. His uniform was wrinkled from hours of non-stop work, but his eyes were bright with excitement. We can improve them. Your technology is incredible, but you've been using it the same way for so long that you've stopped seeing new possibilities. Tom entered behind him, carrying a data tablet showing complex quantum calculations. Your sabotage program was designed to exploit what you saw as weaknesses in our systems. Instead, it showed us how to make our systems more adaptable, more alive. The Phoenix isn't just a ship anymore. It's becoming something entirely new. As if to emphasize his point, the walls of the meeting room briefly became transparent, showing the space around them, where the Confederation fleet hung in formation. The commander flinched, but Kate remained calm, knowing the ship was simply demonstrating its enhanced capabilities. The quantum processors we developed, Mike explained, they don't just compute. They learn, adapt, and evolve. And because we built them by combining your technology with human innovation, they can do things neither of us thought possible. The ship's AI joined the conversation, its holographic interface showing the complex web of improvements spreading through the Phoenix's systems. I have analyzed the complete history of Confederation technological development. Your species achieved remarkable advances, but became conservative, focusing on perfecting existing systems rather than exploring new possibilities. And humans? The commander asked, a new note of respect in his voice. Humans, the AI replied, approach problems differently. When faced with established rules, they instinctively look for ways to bend or break them. This creates inefficiencies, but also leads to unexpected breakthroughs. The combination of Confederation precision and human creativity has produced something greater than either could achieve alone. Kate watched as understanding dawned on the alien commander's face. You intended to eliminate us because you saw us as a potential threat. But what if instead we could be partners? The commander looked at the displays showing the Phoenix's transformed systems, then at his own fleet's readings. You could have destroyed us when we attacked. Why didn't you? Because that's not who we are, Kate said firmly. Humans can be aggressive, yes, and we fight fiercely when threatened. But what we really want is to explore, to learn, to grow. We don't want to dominate the galaxy. We want to help make it better. Mike pulled up new data on the holographic display. Look at these readings. The quantum processors aren't just improving our ship. They're showing us ways to improve everything around us. More efficient power systems, better medical technology, faster and safer space travel. But we need your experience to help us understand it all. The commander was quiet for a long moment, studying the data. When he spoke again, his voice had lost its earlier hostility. In all our history of encountering new species, none has ever done what you've managed in the past day. We thought we were protecting the galaxy's stability by controlling the spread of advanced technology. Perhaps we were wrong. The Phoenix's systems pulsed with a gentle light, and the AI displayed a new set of calculations. I am detecting potential compatibility between our new hybrid technology and all known Confederation systems. Estimated improvement in overall efficiency, 300%. Potential new technological developments. Calculating. The numbers that appeared made both humans and aliens in the room catch their breath. The possibilities were staggering. What you've created here, the commander said slowly, could change everything. But change can be dangerous. It can also be wonderful, Kate replied. You tried to stop our progress because you feared what we might become. Now you've seen what we can do when pushed to our limits. The question is, do you want to keep seeing us as a threat, or would you rather see what we can accomplish together? Tom stepped forward, offering his tablet to the commander. We've already drawn up plans for how we could safely share these improvements with your fleet. No weapons, no military applications, just better engines, more efficient power systems, improved life support. A gesture of good faith. The commander took the tablet, his scaled fingers moving across its surface as he read. His eyes widened as he understood the implications. This level of technological advancement, freely shared. Knowledge grows when it's shared, Mike said with a smile. That's something humans learned a long time ago. Besides, we're going to need help understanding all of this. We may have stumbled onto something amazing, but we're still new to galactic civilization. We have a lot to learn. The ship's AI interrupted with a new announcement. Long-range sensors detecting additional Confederation vessels approaching. Estimated arrival time, 6 hours. The commander looked at Kate. The Confederation Council. They will want to see this for themselves. Good, Kate said, standing. Because we have a proposal for them. The Phoenix isn't just a ship anymore. It's proof that our species can work together to create something greater than ourselves. Instead of trying to control the flow of technology through the galaxy, what if we work together to improve it? The purple glow of the ship's systems seemed to brighten, as if responding to her words. The AI displayed a new set of calculations showing the potential benefits of cooperation between human innovation and Confederation experience. Your sabotage program was meant to be our end, Kate continued. Instead, it became a beginning. The question is, are you ready to be part of what comes next? The commander looked around the room one last time, at the impossible ship that had taken their most advanced technology and transformed it into something new, at the humans who had done in hours what his people hadn't managed in centuries. Finally, he nodded. I will speak to the council on your behalf, he said. They need to see what you've accomplished here, what we might accomplish together. As the commander left to return to his ship, Kate stood at the viewport watching the Confederation fleet. The Phoenix hummed around her, its new systems still evolving, still growing. They had not only survived the attempt to destroy them, they had turned it into an opportunity to change the galaxy itself. The ship's AI spoke one last time, its evolved voice carrying a note of optimism that seemed very human indeed. Captain, I am detecting the formation of new quantum possibilities. The future, it seems, is about to become very interesting. Kate smiled. Humanity's first steps into the galaxy hadn't gone as planned, but maybe that was fitting. After all, doing the unexpected was what humans did best.
Rain tapped insistently on the windows of Daniel Gray's cabin, the kind of relentless drizzle that made it impossible to tell where the clouds ended and the earth began. He had always loved storms. Their chaos made his own life seem orderly by comparison. Tonight, however, the storm wasn't soothing. It was loud, cold, and entirely too close. Daniel adjusted the worn blanket draped over his legs, his fingers clutching a chipped mug of lukewarm tea. The dim glow of his ancient hollow screen flickered across the room, where a scrawny AI unit, shaped like a cylindrical vacuum cleaner with a bad attitude, whirred. Another exciting night in the life of Daniel Gray, came Sprocket's synthetic voice, dripping with sarcasm. What's on the menu tonight? World's Most Boring Documentaries, Volume 12. Daniel sighed. It's educational. Educational for who? Certainly not you. Your brain's already in energy-saving mode. Before Daniel could retort, the knock came. It wasn't timid. It wasn't frantic. It was measured, deliberate, and somehow more unsettling than a scream. Someone knocking on your door at this hour, in this weather? Must be the universe delivering your award for most predictable recluse, Sprocket said, swiveling to face the entryway. Daniel froze. He wasn't expecting anyone. He rarely expected anyone. His cabin was miles outside the city limits, surrounded by a forest thick with towering bioluminescent trees that had started glowing only in the last few decades. One of many peculiarities in a world slowly tilting toward the unknown. "Maybe it's a lost hiker," Daniel muttered, setting his mug down and pulling himself off the couch. "A hiker? In the rain? At midnight? Sure. And I'm secretly an intergalactic supermodel," Sprocket quipped. Ignoring the AI's commentary, Daniel moved cautiously toward the door. The knock came again, steady and patient, as if the person on the other side knew exactly how unnerving it sounded. When he opened the door, the sight that greeted him almost made him shut it again. Standing on the porch, framed by the silver streaks of rain, was a woman. At least, she looked vaguely like one. Her skin was an otherworldly shade of blue, smooth and faintly glowing in the dark. Her hair, a cascade of metallic silver, clung to her shoulders, drenched from the rain. She was barefoot, wearing a strange outfit that looked like a mix between a spacesuit and ceremonial robes. Her eyes, large, luminous, and unnervingly calm, met his. "What is the name of this planet, human?" Daniel blinked. She tilted her head, as if his stunned silence were the most confounding thing she'd encountered. "This planet. Its name. What is it?" "Earth?" Daniel finally managed. "You're on Earth." She looked unimpressed. "Earth," she repeated, testing the word on her tongue. "Primitive. Unremarkable. But functional, I suppose." "Well, thanks," Daniel said, unable to resist. "We try." She stepped closer, completely unbothered by the rain that was now soaking the cabin's wooden floor. "You are human?" "Last time I checked," he replied, still clutching the doorknob as if it could protect him from whatever surreal nightmare he'd stumbled into. Sprocket wheeled over, his single lens swiveling up to take in the strange visitor. "Daniel, who's your friend? Did you order a cosplay companion and forget to tell me?" The woman turned her luminous gaze to Sprocket, her expression unreadable. "This device, it speaks." "Oh, I don't just speak," Sprocket said, puffing up, figuratively. "I insult, I mock, and I observe. It's a package deal." The alien woman frowned slightly, then turned back to Daniel. "I require assistance." "Yeah," Daniel said, rubbing the back of his neck. "I kind of figured. Most people don't show up on my porch in the middle of a storm just to chat." "I do not remember how I arrived here," she admitted, her voice softer now, almost vulnerable. "I do not remember much at all, only fragments. And this." She lifted her arm, and Daniel's eyes were drawn to the faintly glowing mark on her forearm. It was intricate, resembling both a circuit diagram and a constellation. The lines pulsed faintly, as if alive. "Okay," Daniel said slowly. "That's not normal." "Speak for yourself," Sprocket chimed in. "I've seen weirder. Remember that guy who thought he could use me as a coffee maker?" The woman ignored the AI, her focus fixed on Daniel. "You will help me. I can sense that you are suitable." "Suitable for what?" Daniel asked, a sinking feeling settling in his stomach. "To unravel this." She gestured vaguely to herself and then to the night beyond. "To understand why I am here. And if I say no, you will not." Daniel stared at her for a long moment, then sighed. "You're really not giving me a choice, are you?" The faintest hint of a smile tugged at the corner of her lips. "No." He stepped aside, letting her into the cabin. She moved with a grace that was almost hypnotic, her bare feet making no sound on the wooden floor. Sprocket whirred nervously. "Great. Now she's inside. Daniel, this is how horror movies start, you know. First, she asks for help. Next thing you know, she's eating your face." "She's not going to eat my face," Daniel said, though he sounded less than convinced. The alien woman tilted her head again. "I do not consume faces." See? Daniel said. She doesn't consume faces. That's exactly what someone who consumes faces would say, Sprocket shot back. Daniel pinched the bridge of his nose. This is my life now. For the next hour, they tried to piece together what little Kaya, she provided the name reluctantly, remembered. It wasn't much. Flashes of metal corridors, a roaring sound like the tearing of fabric, and then nothing. By the time the rain began to let up, Daniel found himself staring at the glowing mark on her arm again, his gut telling him that whatever this was, it wasn't random. "You're not from around here," he finally said. "That is obvious." "Yeah, but where are you from?" Kaya looked at him, her luminous eyes filled with a strange mix of curiosity and something that might have been sadness. "I do not know." And just like that, Daniel's ordinary life was over. Morning crept into Daniel's cabin like an unwelcome guest, filling the room with a dull gray light. The rain had stopped, but the air outside was still heavy with moisture, the forest cloaked in a lingering fog. Inside, the small space was quiet, save for the faint hum of Sprocket, who had parked himself on the counter, muttering about his disdain for mornings. Daniel sat at the cluttered kitchen table, nursing a fresh cup of tea and trying to convince himself that last night hadn't happened. Maybe it had been a fever dream brought on by a bad takeout burrito, but when he glanced up, there she was. Kaya, the glowing blue alien woman who had shown up on his doorstep. She stood by the window, bathed in soft light, her silvery hair catching the rays like strands of molten metal. Her gaze was fixed on the fog-drenched forest, but her posture was rigid, like she was trying to decode some hidden meaning in the landscape. "Good morning," Daniel said, hesitantly breaking the silence. Kaya turned to him, her expression unreadable as always. "It is morning?" "Yeah. You know, that time after night and before lunch?" She blinked, clearly unimpressed with his attempt at humor. "I see. The concept of time here is primitive but effective." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Right. Well, good to know we're scoring points for efficiency." Sprocket chimed in, his voice laced with mockery. "I love how she's already judging the entire planet after being here for 12 hours. At this rate, she'll be running for office by next week." Kaya ignored the AI, her attention shifting to the cup of tea in Daniel's hands. "What is that?" "Tea," Daniel said, lifting the mug. "It's a drink, kind of a human thing. Helps us wake up, deal with stress, question our life choices." Kaya tilted her head, intrigued. "May I try it?" "Sure, but fair warning, it's an acquired taste." She took the mug from him with surprising delicacy, sniffed it cautiously, then took a sip. Her face twisted into an expression of pure betrayal. "This liquid tastes of sadness and decay," she declared, setting the mug down with a finality that suggested it should never be touched again. Daniel chuckled. "Yeah, well, welcome to Earth." As the morning wore on, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that Kaya was somehow more than she seemed, not just alien, but different in a way he couldn't quite pin down. She moved through his cabin like a ghost, her luminous eyes darting to every gadget, every creaking floorboard, as if cataloging her surroundings. It wasn't until she accidentally broke his old radio that things got weird. The radio, a relic from the early days of Earth's digital revolution, had been sitting on the counter for years, gathering dust. Kaya had picked it up, curious about its purpose, when the thing suddenly sparked and whirred to life, blaring static-filled fragments of music. Daniel jumped. "Whoa! Careful! That thing hasn't worked in ages." Kaya stared at the device, her glowing fingers brushing its surface. The static shifted, morphing into something almost musical, like a distorted alien symphony. Symbols began to flash across the tiny display screen, shapes that didn't belong to any human alphabet. "What are you doing?" Daniel asked, his voice tinged with awe and a little fear. Kaya frowned, her brows knitting together in concentration. "I am not certain. It responds to me. Perhaps it recognizes something in my biology. Sprocket rolled forward, his lens zooming in on the radio. Great, she's a universal remote. Maybe she can fix the fridge next. Ignoring the AI, Kaya turned to Daniel, her expression unreadable. This device, it carries echoes of something familiar, something important. Daniel squinted at the radio, trying to make sense of the alien symbols flashing across its screen. Are you saying you've seen this before? Not this, Kaya said slowly, but something like it. A network, a connection. It is difficult to explain. Before Daniel could press her further, the radio emitted a loud pop and the symbols vanished. Kaya stepped back, looking faintly apologetic. Sorry, she said, and Daniel could swear there was a hint of humor in her tone. It appears I broke it. Join the club, he muttered, running a hand through his hair. So, what, you're like a walking EMP? Should I start wrapping my electronics in tinfoil? Kaya tilted her head, clearly not understanding the joke. Sprocket chimed in again. Forget tinfoil. Just keep her away from anything with a warranty. Later that day, Daniel decided it was time to get some answers, or at least try. He powered up his ancient tablet and opened a translation app, hoping it could make sense of the symbols they'd seen. Kaya watched over his shoulder, her presence unnervingly calm. What are you doing? She asked. Trying to figure out if this app can decode whatever language that was, Daniel said. Kaya nodded. Your technology is crude, but it may suffice. Crude? Hey, this tablet's state-of-the-art, Daniel protested, though even he knew it was a lie. State-of-the-art for Earth, Sprocket interjected, which is like saying it's the fastest snail in the race. As the app struggled to make sense of the alien symbols, Kaya began pacing the room. Her glowing mark seemed brighter now, pulsing faintly in rhythm with her movements. Daniel couldn't help but stare, wondering what secrets it held. Do you think that's some kind of, I don't know, a tracking device, a message, a tattoo? He asked, gesturing to her arm. Kaya stopped, her gaze dropping to the mark. It is a key, she said softly. A key to what? I do not know, but I feel its purpose. It is connected to why I am here. Daniel leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? My life's officially a sci-fi movie now. Not a good one, Sprocket quipped. More like the kind that goes straight to streaming. As night fell, Kaya's abilities continued to reveal themselves in strange and unpredictable ways. She fixed a malfunctioning kitchen light with a single touch, though she claimed she hadn't meant to. Later, when Sprocket got stuck behind the couch, she somehow magnetized him enough to lift him back onto the floor. Okay, that was kind of impressive, Daniel admitted. Kaya glanced at him, her expression unreadable. Your world is simple, but not without potential. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Thanks, I think. As they sat together in the quiet of the cabin, the strange mark on Kaya's arm glowed faintly in the dark, casting eerie shadows across the walls. Daniel couldn't help but feel that whatever brought her here was bigger than either of them could comprehend. And for the first time in a long time, he felt the faintest flicker of excitement. Well, he said, breaking the silence, if you're going to stay here, we should probably figure out some ground rules. Rule number 1, no breaking my stuff. Kaya tilted her head, her lips curving into what might have been the barest hint of a smile. I will try. Sprocket, of course, had the last word. Rule number 2, don't get us killed. I'd like to survive long enough to mock Daniel some more. Kaya's faint smile lingered, and Daniel felt, for the first time, that they might just make it through whatever was coming, if only because they had no other choice. The next morning, the fog in the forest outside Daniel's cabin clung to the trees like a shroud, twisting the sunlight into pale beams. Kaya stood on the porch, her luminous eyes scanning the treetops, her silver hair catching the light like polished steel. Daniel watched her from the doorway, a steaming mug of tea in his hand, and a faint feeling of unease in his gut. "So," he said, breaking the silence, "you've got mysterious abilities, no memory, and a glowing tattoo that's supposedly a key to something. What's the plan? Because I don't think sitting around here is going to get us anywhere." Kaya turned to him, her expression calm but thoughtful. "This environment," she said, gesturing to the trees, "it feels altered." Daniel frowned. "Altered how?" Kaya stepped down from the porch, her bare feet sinking into the damp earth. She reached out toward one of the bioluminescent trees, her hand stopping just short of touching its glowing bark. The mark on her forearm pulsed faintly, matching the rhythm of the light emanating from the tree. "There is a resonance," she said softly. "A frequency. It is faint, but it is there." Daniel crossed his arms, watching her with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. "Okay, so the trees are weird. That's not exactly breaking news. They've been glowing like that for decades, some kind of mutation after the asteroid storm in the 70s. Scientists never figured it out." Kaya tilted her head, considering his words. "This mutation, it is not natural. It is the result of interference." "Interference?" She turned back to him, her glowing eyes steady. "Something has altered the life on this planet. Something not of this world." Daniel's stomach tightened. "Great. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. So now we're dealing with aliens messing with our trees? Perfect." "Technically, she's an alien," Sprocket interjected, rolling up beside Daniel. "Maybe she's just projecting. You know, like when you blame someone else for eating the last slice of pizza." Kaya ignored the AI, her attention returning to the tree. She placed her hand against its bark, and the glow intensified, spreading outward in rippling waves. The forest seemed to respond, the other trees lighting up in sequence, their colors shifting from soft blue to deep violet. Daniel's jaw dropped. Is this supposed to happen?" Kaya didn't answer. Her mark pulsed brighter, and for a moment, the air around her seemed to hum with energy. Daniel felt the hair on his arm stand on end, as if the entire forest had been charged with static electricity. "Okay, that's officially the weirdest thing I've seen this week," Sprocket said. "And I live with you, Daniel." Kaya finally pulled her hand away, the glow fading back to its normal state. She turned to Daniel, her expression unreadable. "There is something here, something buried beneath the surface." Daniel raised an eyebrow. "Beneath the surface? What are you talking about?" Kaya gestured toward the forest floor. "The trees are connected, their roots form a network, and within that network is a signal." "A signal?" "Yes," she said, her voice firm. "A faint transmission. It is old, fragmented, but it is there." Daniel ran a hand through his hair, trying to process this. "So you're telling me the glowing trees in my backyard are actually alien antennas? Because that sounds like the setup for a bad sci-fi movie." Sprocket wheeled closer, his lens swiveling to focus on Kaya. "I hate to admit it, but she's probably right. These trees are giving off electromagnetic pulses. I can feel them. And I'm a vacuum cleaner, for crying out loud." Kaya turned back to the forest, her gaze intense. "We must find the source of the signal." "Of course we must," Daniel muttered. "Because why wouldn't we? It's not like I had anything better to do today." An hour later, Daniel found himself trudging through the forest, Kaya leading the way with an eerie confidence that made him wonder if she was remembering more than she was letting on. The ground was soft and damp beneath their feet, and the trees seemed to glow brighter the deeper they went, casting the forest in an otherworldly light. "This is ridiculous," Daniel grumbled, swatting at a bioluminescent moth the size of his hand. "I'm following an alien I just met into a glowing forest because she thinks the trees are talking to her. This is how horror stories start." "You could have stayed behind," Kaya said without turning around, "and miss out on the chance to be eaten by a mutant bear? No thanks." Sprocket trundled along behind them, his motor whirring louder than usual. "If we do get eaten, I hope it's quick. I don't want to spend my last moments listening to Daniel complain about his shoes." "They're new," Daniel snapped, "and this mud is ruining them." Kaya stopped suddenly, her head tilting as if she were listening to something. "We are close," she said. "Close to what?" Daniel asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted to know the answer. Kaya didn't respond. She stepped forward, her glowing mark pulsing faintly, and placed her hand against the trunk of one of the larger trees. The ground beneath them trembled slightly, and Daniel stumbled, grabbing onto a nearby branch for support. "Okay, that's not normal," he said, his voice rising. Kaya's eyes narrowed in concentration. "There is something below us," she said. "A structure, buried deep." Daniel stared at her. "A structure? Like a building? Underground?" "Yes," she said, "and the signal is coming from within it." Sprocket whirred nervously. "I don't like where this is going. Underground structures never end well. They're either full of traps, monsters, or both." Kaya stepped back from the tree, her expression calm but resolute. "We must find a way down." "Of course we must," Daniel muttered, "because climbing into a mysterious underground alien structure is exactly what a sane person would do." They spent the next hour searching the forest floor for any sign of an entrance. Eventually, Kaya stopped in front of a massive, gnarled root system that jutted out of the ground like the ribs of some ancient creature. She crouched down, brushing away moss and dirt to reveal a faintly glowing panel embedded in the roots. "Well, that's not normal," Daniel said, kneeling beside her. "What is it?" Kaya ran her fingers over the panel, her mark glowing in response. The panel lit up, displaying more of the strange alien symbols they'd seen on the radio. "It is a gateway," Kaya said. "A gateway to what?" Kaya glanced at him, her expression unreadable. "We are about to find out." Before Daniel could protest, Kaya pressed her hand against the panel. The ground beneath them rumbled, and the root system began to shift, pulling apart to reveal a dark, yawning hole that descended into the earth. Daniel stared into the abyss, his stomach twisting. "You know, I could just go back to the cabin and pretend none of this ever happened." Kaya stood, her gaze steady. "You will not." "Of course I won't," Daniel muttered, taking a deep breath. "Let's get this over with." And with that, they stepped into the unknown. The descent into the earth was a surreal experience. The tunnel spiraled downward, its walls illuminated by faint streaks of glowing mineral veins that pulsed gently, like the heartbeat of the planet itself. The air grew cooler as they ventured deeper, carrying a metallic tang that made Daniel's nose twitch. "Why is it always a creepy tunnel?" Daniel muttered, his voice bouncing off the walls. "No one ever discovers ancient alien mysteries in a sunny meadow." Kaya led the way, her movements calm and deliberate. "A meadow would not be practical for concealment," she said, her tone matter-of-fact. Daniel rolled his eyes. "It was a joke." "I see," Kaya replied, though her expression didn't change. Behind them, Sprocket clattered down the uneven path, his sensors scanning the walls. "I'm not sure what's more terrifying," he said, his lens swiveling toward Daniel. "The fact that we're going deeper into a possibly haunted alien bunker, or the fact that she doesn't understand humor. I mean, how do you bond without humor? It's essential." "I'll file that under problems for later," Daniel said. The tunnel eventually opened into a vast underground chamber, the ceiling so high it disappeared into shadow. Large geometric structures dotted the space, their surfaces gleaming with the same bioluminescent glow as the trees above. Strange mechanical vines sprawled across the floor and walls, humming faintly as if alive. "Okay, this is unsettling," Daniel said, stepping cautiously into the room. Kaya knelt by one of the structures, her fingers grazing its surface. "These materials are not natural to this planet," she said. "They are engineered." "Engineered by who?" She shook her head. "I do not know. But this technology, it is advanced, far beyond your own." "Gee, Thanks, Daniel said, placing a hand on one of the vines. It was cool to the touch and vibrated faintly under his palm. It's like the forest above got tired of being trees and decided to be metal instead. Or it's alive, Sprocket added helpfully. Wouldn't be the first time plants turned out to be carnivorous alien tech. Daniel yanked his hand back. Great, now I'm never touching anything again. Kaya stood, her glowing mark pulsing faintly. The signal is stronger here. We are close. Close to what? Daniel asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted the answer. Kaya didn't respond. Instead, she began moving toward the center of the chamber, where a massive circular platform stood. Symbols glowed faintly along its edge, similar to the ones they had seen on the radio and the panel above ground. Please tell me that's not some kind of alien summoning circle, Daniel said. If it is, at least we'll have front row seats, Sprocket quipped. Kaya stepped onto the platform, her mark glowing brighter. The symbols responded, lighting up one by one until the entire platform shimmered with energy. A low hum filled the chamber, growing louder with each passing second. Is this supposed to happen? Daniel asked, backing away. Kaya turned to him, her expression unreadable. Do not be afraid. That's easy for you to say, he shot back. You're not the one who has to explain this to his insurance company if the planet blows up. The hum reached a crescendo, and suddenly the platform projected a swirling holographic image into the air above it. The image was vast and complex, a galaxy spiraling with vibrant colors and dotted with countless stars. Whoa, Daniel breathed, his fear momentarily forgotten. Is that our galaxy? Kaya studied the projection, her luminous eyes narrowing. No, she said softly. It is not. Daniel frowned. What do you mean? It looks like a galaxy to me. It is a galaxy, Kaya said, but not yours. This is not your home system. Daniel blinked, his brain struggling to keep up. Wait, are you saying this whole thing is a map? To another galaxy? Yes, Kaya said, her gaze fixed on the projection. She pointed to a small cluster of stars near the center. And this is where the signal originates. Daniel stared at the spot she indicated, his mind racing. So whoever built this place, they're from another galaxy? It is possible, Kaya said. Or perhaps they traveled between galaxies. Either way, their technology is extraordinary. Extraordinary, sure, Daniel said, his voice tinged with nervousness. But why leave it here, on Earth? What's so special about this place? Kaya didn't answer immediately. She stepped off the platform, her expression thoughtful. I do not know, she said finally. But this structure, it is ancient. It has been here for a long time, hidden beneath your forest. Long enough for the trees to grow over it, Daniel muttered, glancing uneasily at the mechanical vines. Great, so we're basically standing in a galactic time capsule. Not just a time capsule, Sprocket interjected, his tone unusually serious. If this signal's been running for who knows how long, it's probably broadcasting to someone. Or something. Daniel's stomach twisted. Okay, now you're just making it worse. Kaya stepped closer to the platform, her glowing mark pulsing faintly. The signal, it is not random. It carries information. A message. Daniel raised an eyebrow. A message? Like, hello, we're aliens. Please don't touch our stuff? Kaya shook her head. It is more than that. The signal is encoded, but I can feel its intent. It is a warning. The chamber fell silent, save for the faint hum of the glowing structures. Daniel stared at Kaya, his unease growing. A warning about what? Kaya's expression darkened. I do not know, but I believe it is meant for me. As they left the chamber and began the long climb back to the surface, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that they were in way over their heads. The glowing trees, the buried structure, the signal from another galaxy. It was all too much. This is insane, he muttered as they reached the tunnel entrance. I mean, Warnings from alien civilizations? Secret underground bunkers? I'm just a guy who fixes computers. Kaya glanced at him, her expression calm. You are more than that, Daniel. Right, he said, rolling his eyes. And you're just a blue-skinned tourist. Sprocket chimed in as they emerged into the daylight. If this warning turns out to be about something big, like an invasion or the end of the world, can we at least stop for snacks first? I don't want to face Armageddon on an empty stomach. Daniel groaned. Why do I feel like that's the most sensible thing anyone said all day? Kaya didn't respond. She stood at the edge of the clearing, her gaze fixed on the horizon, where the glowing forest stretched out like a sea of light. We are not alone, she said softly. And whatever is coming, we must be ready. Daniel sighed, running a hand through his hair. Fantastic. No pressure or anything. And with that, they began their journey back to the cabin, the weight of the galaxy pressing down on their shoulders. The cabin felt unusually small when they returned, as if the weight of the underground chamber had followed them up into the daylight. Daniel slumped into the threadbare armchair, its springs protesting loudly. Kaya moved to the window, gazing out at the glowing forest with an intensity that made Daniel wonder if she was seeing something he couldn't. Well, that was fun, Daniel said, rubbing his temples. A secret alien bunker in my backyard. Definitely not how I planned to spend my week. What's next? Space taxes? Sprocket rolled across the room, his lens swiveling toward Daniel. If they charge taxes based on the size of your lawn, you're doomed. Have you seen your weeds? Daniel waved him off. Not helping, Sprocket. Kaya finally turned from the window, her luminous eyes locking onto Daniel. We need to decipher the message, she said. Daniel frowned. You mean the warning? The one you said might be about, I don't know, galactic doom or something? Yes, Kaya said, her tone steady. If we understand the message, we will know what is coming, and how to prepare. Prepare for what? Daniel asked, his voice tinged with exasperation. You're being awfully vague, Kaya. Are we talking about a natural disaster, an alien invasion, space pirates? Space pirates? Sprocket chimed in, his lens flickering in mock alarm. Please tell me they're not real. I'm allergic to eye patches. Kaya ignored the interruption, her gaze unwavering. I do not know the exact threat, she admitted, but the urgency of the signal suggests it is significant. Great, Daniel muttered. Just once, I'd like to be part of a story that doesn't involve imminent catastrophe. Deciphering the message, as it turned out, was easier said than done. The symbols on Kaya's mark, the underground platform, and the holographic projection were all part of a complex language, one that neither Daniel nor Sprocket recognized. Kaya seemed to understand fragments, but even she struggled with the intricacies of the code. This is going to take forever, Daniel said, leaning over the dining table where they'd spread out their notes and sketches of the symbols. You sure there's not an alien Rosetta Stone lying around somewhere? Kaya tilted her head, considering his words. A Rosetta Stone was a device used to translate languages, correct? Daniel blinked. Not exactly a device, but close enough. Why? Kaya tapped her fingers against the table, her glowing mark faintly pulsing. The structure below, it may contain a tool for translation. If we search further, we might find it. Daniel groaned, slumping back in his chair. So you're saying we have to go back into the creepy alien bunker? Fantastic. Just what I wanted. I'm starting to think you enjoy complaining, Sprocket said, his lens swiveling toward Daniel. It's like your superpower. Daniel shot him a glare. My superpower is keeping you charged, so maybe tone it down, smart guy. Kaya stood, her movements fluid and deliberate. We should return to the structure. If there is a way to decode the message, we must find it. Fine, Daniel muttered, standing reluctantly. But if we run into any alien booby traps, I'm letting Sprocket go first. The return trip to the underground chamber was uneventful. though Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that the forest was watching them. The glowing trees seemed brighter than before, their light casting long, eerie shadows across the path. "Is it just me, or does the forest feel different?" Daniel asked, glancing nervously at the trees. "It is not just you," Kaya said, her gaze scanning the treetops. "The energy here is shifting." "Shifting how?" She didn't answer, her focus returning to the path ahead. "Great," Daniel muttered. "I love vague answers. They're so reassuring." When they reached the chamber, the holographic projection of the galaxy was still active, its swirling colors casting an otherworldly glow across the room. Kaya moved to the platform, her mark glowing brighter as she approached. "There must be a terminal," she said, her voice calm but firm. "A control system for the projection. If we find it, we may be able to access the message directly." "Right," Daniel said, scanning the room. "Because alien technology is always so user-friendly, do you think it comes with a manual?" "If it does, it's probably written in the same squiggly language," Sprocket said. "Good luck with that." After some searching, Kaya found a small recessed panel on one of the structures near the platform. She pressed her hand against it, and the panel lit up, displaying a series of symbols that glowed faintly in the dim light. "This appears to be a control interface," she said, her fingers brushing over the symbols. Daniel peered over her shoulder, frowning. "That doesn't look like any interface I've ever seen. Where's the touchscreen? The buttons? The anything?" Kaya didn't respond. Her glowing mark pulsed in sync with the panel, and the symbols began to shift, rearranging themselves into a new pattern. "Okay, that's cool," Daniel admitted, "but also kind of creepy." The panel emitted a soft hum, and the holographic projection above the platform changed. The swirling galaxy zoomed in on a specific star system, highlighting a single planet surrounded by a faint ring of light. Kaya's eyes widened slightly. "This is the source of the signal," she said softly. Daniel stared at the projection, his unease growing. "That's really far away," he said. "How are we supposed to do anything about a signal coming from another galaxy?" Kaya turned to him, her expression calm but resolute. "We may not have to go there," she said. "The signal was sent here for a reason. The answer lies on this planet." "Of course it does," Daniel muttered. "Because why would it be easy?" As they prepared to leave the chamber, Sprocket paused, his sensors emitting a faint beep. Guys? I'm picking up a new signal." Kaya and Daniel turned to him, their expressions wary. "What kind of signal?" Daniel asked. Sprocket's lens flickered. "It's faint, but it's coming from above us." Daniel frowned. "Above us? You mean the surface?" "No," Sprocket said. "Higher, way higher." Kaya's expression darkened. "A ship," she said softly. Daniel's stomach dropped. "A ship? You mean like an alien ship?" Kaya nodded, her gaze steady. "If the signal has been detected, it is possible that others have been drawn to it." Daniel ran a hand through his hair, his heart racing. "Great. So now we're dealing with alien visitors? What are we supposed to do about that?" Sprocket rolled toward the tunnel entrance, his tone unusually serious. "I suggest we figure it out quickly, because if they're coming here, we might not have much time." Kaya glanced at Daniel, her luminous eyes calm but determined. "This is only the beginning," she said. "Yeah," Daniel muttered, his voice dripping with sarcasm, "because things weren't complicated enough already." As they made their way back to the surface, the weight of the galaxy seemed heavier than ever, pressing down on them like a storm about to break. The tension in the air was palpable as they emerged from the tunnel and into the glowing forest. The trees swayed gently in the breeze, their light pulsing with a rhythm that felt almost alive. Above them, the sky was darkening, streaked with hues of deep violet and faint crimson. Daniel glanced nervously at the horizon. "So just to recap, we've got an alien bunker underfoot, a mystery signal from another galaxy, and now, possibly, an alien ship in orbit. Did I miss anything?" You forgot the part where we don't have snacks, Sprocket chimed in, his lens swiveling to scan the treetops. Priorities, Daniel. Priorities. Daniel sighed. Yes, thank you for that valuable input, Sprocket. Truly, your wisdom knows no bounds. Kaya remained silent, her luminous eyes fixed on the sky. The glowing mark on her arm pulsed faintly, as if reacting to an unseen force. They are here, she said softly, her voice carrying a weight that made Daniel's stomach tighten. They, Daniel echoed. As in they who sent the signal? Or they who might be here to blow us up? Big difference, Kaya. Kaya turned to him, her expression calm but unreadable. I do not know their intent, she said. But they have responded to the signal. We must be cautious. Cautious, Sprocket quipped. I say we start with cautious, move quickly to paranoid, and finish with full-blown panic. The trio made their way back to the cabin, the forest around them growing eerily silent. Even the faint hum of the glowing trees seemed to fade, replaced by a stillness that set Daniel's nerves on edge. Okay, is it just me, or is the forest too quiet? He asked, glancing over his shoulder. It is not just you, Kaya said. The energy here is different. Different how? She didn't answer, her focus remaining on the path ahead. Great, Daniel muttered. I love cryptic answers. They're so helpful. Back at the cabin, Sprocket busied himself scanning for signals while Daniel paced nervously by the window. Kaya stood near the radio, her fingers brushing over the dials as if searching for something. Anything? Daniel asked, stopping mid-step. Kaya shook her head. The signal is faint. It is being disrupted. Disrupted by what? Kaya hesitated, her gaze distant. Something powerful. I can feel it. Feel it? Daniel repeated. What does that even mean? Are you psychic now? Not psychic, Kaya said, but connected. The signal resonates with me. It is familiar. Daniel opened his mouth to press further, but was interrupted by a loud beep from Sprocket. Guys? The little robot said, his lens swiveling toward them. I think you're gonna want to see this. On Sprocket's display, a series of symbols scrolled rapidly across the screen, interspersed with static. The symbols were similar to the ones they had seen in the underground chamber, but they seemed fragmented, as if incomplete. What is that? Daniel asked, leaning over Sprocket's shoulder. Some kind of broadcast, Sprocket said. It's faint, but it's coming from high orbit. Probably that ship Kaya mentioned. Kaya stepped closer, her gaze fixed on the screen. It is a response, she said softly. A response to what? Daniel asked. To us, Kaya said, her tone calm but firm. They know we are here. Daniel's stomach twisted. Okay, that's officially creepy. What do we do now? Kaya turned to him, her expression resolute. We wait. Waiting, as it turned out, was easier said than done. The hours crawled by, the tension in the cabin thick enough to cut with a knife. Daniel tried to distract himself by organizing the cluttered shelves, but his mind kept drifting back to the ship overhead and the enigmatic message it carried. This is ridiculous, he muttered, slamming a can of soup onto the counter. We're sitting ducks down here. What if they're hostile? What if they decide to, I don't know, vaporize us or something? Then at least we won't have to clean up, Sprocket said, rolling past him. Daniel glared at the robot. Not helpful, Sprocket. Kaya, who had been sitting cross-legged by the radio, looked up. Fear will not help us, Daniel, she said. We must remain focused. Easy for you to say, Daniel shot back. You're not the one who's going to have to explain this to the authorities if aliens invade my backyard. Kaya tilted her head, her luminous eyes calm. You assume the authorities will believe you? Daniel groaned, slumping into the armchair. Great, that's comforting. The first sign of the ship's approach came just before dawn. A faint hum filled the air, growing steadily louder until it resonated through the cabin like the low rumble of a distant storm. Daniel bolted upright, his heart pounding. What the hell is that? They are descending, Kaya said, rising gracefully to her feet. Descending where? Daniel asked, though he wasn't sure he wanted the answer. Kaya moved to the window, her gaze fixed on the horizon. Here, she said softly. Daniel's stomach dropped. Here? As in here? Kaya nodded. Great, Daniel muttered, grabbing his jacket, because nothing says welcome like an uninvited house call from aliens. They stepped outside, the forest bathed in an eerie light that seemed to emanate from the sky itself. The hum grew louder, and Daniel squinted upward, his breath catching as a massive, sleek ship descended through the clouds. The ship was unlike anything he had ever seen, its surface smooth and reflective, as if made of liquid metal. Strange, angular symbols glowed faintly along its hull, shifting and pulsing in a rhythm that made his head spin. Okay, that's impressive, Daniel admitted. Also terrifying. Mostly terrifying. Kaya stepped forward, her glowing mark pulsing in sync with the symbols on the ship. They are here, she said, her voice steady. Daniel stared at the ship, his palms sweating. Yeah, I got that. What do we do now? Wave? Offer them coffee? Sprocket rolled up beside him, his lens focused on the descending ship. Let's start with not getting vaporized and go from there. The ship hovered above the clearing, its hum reaching a deafening pitch before suddenly falling silent. A beam of light shot down from its underside, illuminating the ground in front of them. Daniel took an involuntary step back. Is that an invitation? Or a death ray? Kaya didn't answer. She stepped into the beam, her glowing mark flaring brightly as the light enveloped her. Daniel's heart raced. Kaya, wait! What are you doing? She turned to him, her expression calm but resolute. They will not harm us, she said. Not yet. Not yet? Daniel repeated, his voice cracking. That's not exactly reassuring. Before he could say anything else, the light intensified, and Kaya disappeared, leaving Daniel and Sprocket alone in the clearing. Well, Sprocket said after a moment of stunned silence, that escalated quickly. Daniel groaned, running a hand through his hair. Fantastic. She gets abducted by aliens, and I'm stuck here with you. Just my luck. As the ship began to ascend, its light fading into the dawn sky, Daniel couldn't shake the feeling that their adventure was far from over, and that whatever lay ahead would make the glowing forest and the underground bunker look like a walk in the park. Daniel squinted against the harsh glow of the rising sun, his heart still hammering from Kaya's sudden disappearance into the alien ship. The forest around him had returned to its usual pulsating hum, but the silence in his chest was deafening. Okay, he muttered, rubbing his temples. Think, Daniel. Your alien friend just got beamed up into what might be the most advanced ship humanity's never seen, and you're standing in the woods arguing with a robot. This is fine. Totally fine. Sprocket's lens swiveled toward him. Fine? Really? Because if I were equipped with a pulse, it would be skyrocketing right now. Daniel shot the little robot a glare. You're not helping. Just saying, Sprocket replied. Your odds of survival without her just plummeted, and frankly, I liked the buffer she provided. Oh, good, Daniel snapped. I was hoping for a morale boost. Minutes ticked by, stretching into an eternity, until a faint hum once again filled the clearing. The alien ship returned, its reflective surface shimmering in the dawn light. This time, the beam of light that had taken Kaya descended more slowly, depositing her gently back onto the forest floor. Daniel rushed forward. Kaya, are you okay? Did they hurt you or probe you? Wait, do probes even exist, or is that just bad sci-fi? Kaya's expression was calm but unreadable, her glowing mark dimmed to a soft blue. I am unharmed, she said. Unharmed? Daniel echoed, relief mixing with confusion. Then what took so long? Did you talk to them? Did they give you answers? They showed me, Kaya said simply. Showed you what? Kaya hesitated, her luminous eyes meeting his. Everything. Back in the cabin, Kaya sat cross-legged on the floor, the dim morning light casting long shadows across the room. Daniel leaned against the wall, arms crossed, while Sprocket perched on the edge of the table, his lens flickering in curiosity. Okay, start from the beginning, Daniel said. What did they show you? Kaya took a deep breath. The signal we followed was not random. It was sent deliberately, to me. To you? Daniel's eyebrows shot up. Why? How? They are my people, Kaya said. Or rather, what is left of them. Daniel blinked. Wait, what? You mean the aliens in that ship are your descendants, Kaya clarified. The civilization I come from was advanced, but it was also flawed. A great conflict arose, one that tore my world apart. Before the end, a group of survivors fled, carrying with them the knowledge and technology of our people. They sought refuge among the stars, hoping to preserve what little remained of our legacy. And you? Daniel asked, his voice soft. I was placed in stasis, Kaya said, her gaze distant. A safeguard in case the worst should come to pass. They left me behind as a contingency. But something went wrong. My pod was damaged, and I awoke here, on your world, with no memory of who I was or why I had been sent. Daniel let out a low whistle. That's a lot to take in. You're telling me, Sprocket muttered. Kaya continued, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. The ship overhead is part of a fleet, searching for remnants of our people. When they detected my activation, they responded. And the glowing mark on your arm? Daniel asked. It is a key, Kaya said, a genetic marker that identifies me as one of them. It also allows access to certain technologies, like the bunker we discovered. Daniel frowned. So, what happens now? Are they taking you back with them? Kaya hesitated. They offered, she said, but I declined. Daniel's jaw dropped. You declined? Kaya, they're your people, your family. Why would you say no? Because this is my home now, Kaya said simply, her gaze meeting his. I may not remember my past, but I have made new connections here, new memories. And there is still much I do not understand about your world, Daniel. I wish to learn. Daniel stared at her, his chest tightening. You mean you're staying? Kaya nodded. Sprocket rolled forward, his lens swiveling between them. Okay, not to interrupt the heartfelt moment, but are we just going to gloss over the fact that there's a giant alien ship hovering above us? Kaya smiled faintly. They will not remain. They have their own journey to continue, just as we have ours. The ship departed that evening, its sleek form vanishing into the stars as quietly as it had arrived. Daniel, Kaya, and Sprocket watched from the clearing, the hum of its engines fading into the night. Well, Daniel said, breaking the silence, that was surreal. Understatement of the century, Sprocket muttered. Kaya turned to Daniel, her luminous eyes filled with a quiet determination. Thank you, she said. Daniel blinked. For what? For everything, Kaya said. For helping me, for trusting me, and for standing by my side even when you had no reason to. Daniel rubbed the back of his neck, a sheepish grin spreading across his face. Hey, don't mention it. Besides, I couldn't have done it without you. Or Sprocket, for that matter. Sprocket's lens flickered in what Daniel could only interpret as smug satisfaction. Darn right, you couldn't. In the days that followed, life began to settle into a strange new rhythm. The glowing forest returned to its usual vibrancy, the underground bunker remained undisturbed, and the mystery of the alien ship became just another secret shared between friends. Daniel found himself looking at the stars differently now, wondering what other secrets they might hold. Kaya, for her part, seemed more at ease, her curiosity about Earth growing with each passing day. One evening, as they sat on the porch watching the sunset, Kaya turned to Daniel with a thoughtful expression. "Daniel," she said, "there is one thing I still do not understand." "What's that?" he asked. Kaya gestured to the sky. "Your people name everything, places, objects, even celestial bodies, but you never told me." She paused, her luminous eyes meeting his. "What is the name of this planet?" Daniel chuckled, the sound warm and genuine. "It's called Earth," he said. Kaya tilted her head, a small smile playing at her lips. "Earth," she repeated, as if tasting the word. "A simple name for such a complex world." Daniel grinned. "Yeah, well, we're simple people, most of the time." Kaya's smile widened, and for the first time Daniel saw a flicker of something close to peace in her expression. As the last rays of sunlight dipped below the horizon, the stars began to appear one by one, their light stretching across the vast expanse of the universe. And for the first time in what felt like forever, Daniel felt truly at home.